Welcome to Katawa Shoujo, my name is PolishLynx. Let's see what this is about. The loud clatter of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It's become a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako and Lilly also does. Also, my mouse is breaking. Obviously started Yuko's sudden twist toward the direction of the noise. I'd have thought her used to people dropping books by now since she does work here.
Oh, hello Hisao, back again.
It takes me a moment to respond, my mind's distracted by the familiar melody of Lilly's humming that's hardly left my ears in the several days it's been since I fell asleep to it. Oh yeah, just returning some books I borrowed. She casts her eyes downwards, presumably to the bin the books dropped into.
You're a very heavy reader, aren't you?
It's become a bit of a routine now. Passes the time at least.
I wish I had free time to pass.
I wish I had less free time. From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds. I think that's a new record for her. She's a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I could see how that would take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for her job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as a counterintuitive. No clue. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I probably never manage it.
You're lucky being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university?
If she's asking, I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess I have the money, I think. I've got plans which require going to one, and my grades are good enough. It's more a matter of how I'll pay to do so.
University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses to make it's a lot harder.
Loves in free education.
If you're reading this much, that means you're doing well in school, right?
Interesting logical jump. Not altogether wrong one for. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard aside from maybe 1 or 2. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university?
Yuka appears to genuinely brighten at the question. Anthropology, to be specific, especially in the history of the classical era, Athenian civilization and democracy.
Nice. She really seems to know her stuff. I mean, she's into that, right? Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. Yeah, if you have that road. That's good to hear, Issue. Both of us jumped at the sudden interruption coming from a pocket. Apologizing profusely and quickly shoved in the hallway as I fumble with the cover of my mobile phone, I glance at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I pretty wonder whether it's some telemarketer that lucked out. Hello, Hisao Nakai speaking.
Gee, pick up faster next time. Anyway, guess who?
I don't know, I mean, she said guess who. I would say it might be Misha for some reason, considering she liked to, like, you know, approach and cover your eyes and ask that. But I don't know. It only takes me a second to recognize the distinctively deep, brusque voice. Hey, Misha. I was correct. Now time to go and gamble. I'm kidding. Didn't expect you to call me.
Huh? You actually think I sound like her?
Not at all, Akira. I don't remember giving you my number for, so I thought I'd mess with you.
Oh, Dad! I got Lilly to give it to me. Not hard.
She positively brings with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace, I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that two would share my number for, given how close they are. So, what's up?
You free right now?
I guess. Why?
Could you meet me at the park in town? I just want to talk to you about some stuff.
Is that an invitation to a date?
What? Of course not.
She sounds suddenly crestfallen, her previous teasing nature having instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyway, I don't see why not. When do you want to meet?
Kind of now-ish.
Wait, right now, but it... The dead silence suddenly coming from the phone announces the fact that she has unceremoniously hung up. For a long time I just stand there, staring at the call-ended message on the screen while replaying the conversation in my head.
What the hell, Akira?
What the hell? Throwing a glance up and down the street, I cross the road and step into the park. I've learned to pace myself on such walks. To pace. Mostly because Lilly's slower speed during our forays into town means I have to consciously slow myself down. That aside, I hope Akira didn't expect me to be immediately prompt. Sapporo Classic. Pretty sure that's beer. It takes only a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on a bench with a can of beer in her hand. Oh, of course. The look she gives me as I walk up lacks any hint of acknowledgement or greeting. What's with that look? I didn't have comb, you know.
I knew you would. You're that kind of person after all.
I lower my brow at her remark as she disposed of the can. Emptied by the time I arrive and the metallic clattering sound, Akira takes a seat on the old wooden bench and I follow her lead. So, okay, what is this about? She takes another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking. Taking a large gulp, she seems to really like that stuff. Oh yeah, you can actually in Japan drink in public. That's cool. I suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about.
I heard from Lilly that you asked about our family.
Yeah? They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'd probably be very worried right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice, rather that her tone sounds almost wistful. Idle curiosity, mostly. I have to admit I never had guessed you two were half Scottish. She gives a right chuckle of amusement.
I've heard that before, trust me.
The small smile falls from her face, her eyes looking ahead distantly. Aside from the occasional elderly couple talking as they slowly walk the meandering paths and the odd aging car, it's pleasantly quiet.
She didn't tell you everything, for did she?
It was pretty brief. Your parents live in Scotland, she hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again.
It always surprised me how devoted she is to our parents, for all the good they did us.
Go on. The way she says it sounds almost derisive. She gives a small sigh as if to quickly brush off the feelings away.
Why do you think they left, Hisao?
Go. Can't be because of that, right? Why do I think they left? From what Lilly told me, it was because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, given the way your parents seem to live. So Lilly went to a private school, and that's why she carries herself with the airs and graces of the upper class.
Yeah, since the business in earnest boomed, our father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters.
Decided.
That's just the conclusion I thought you'd come to, for you're too good-natured.
No, I'm not. You don't think they left for their car?
I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? Yamaku Academy. I've always felt that place was kinda creepy, like it was an isolated hideaway or those proper society doesn't want to see nor hear. They probably just rue the fact that Lilly wasn't old enough to be shown there by the time they left.
A long silence follows her abrupt and very harsh criticisms of her own parents and Yamaku. Lilly's blindness is hardly something that could be simply ignored for a high-class family attempt to keep up appearances, much less so when a lucrative offer is on the table. Eventually Akira gives a derisive snort, her feelings coming to a head.
Moving to secure our financial future with his new job posting. Even at the time, I hardly believed it.
Not wanting to simply be an avenue for her venting, I gently tried to steer the discussion. So, you stayed in Japan with Lilly then?
Either I stayed with her, or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather.
What about Shizune's family? If you're cousins, then... Wrong step, man.
Our fathers hate each other. I'd have been more than happy to tell them to go screw themselves and live with them anyway, but Lilly wouldn't have wanted that. I also had an offer for a job by then, so we did our best to keep our parents' house in a proper shape and try to continue our lives as if they'd never left.
So you just lived by yourselves?
Basically, Lee had school and I had my job, so we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling, her study, and having to do chores while I worked for, I can't help feeling like I failed her. In the end, I tried to be there for her and screwed it up.
What are you talking about?
Expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for a blind child. It's ridiculous.
Hey, I would say you've done a pretty good job already over there. So, Lilly and Akira lived alone after their parents moved, with Lilly largely taking care of herself. I guess that explains her apparent independence compared to many in Yamaku. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would also teach a lot. I may have lived alone much of the time since my parents both work, but that's just something else entirely, yeah.
Sorry for making you listen to my moaning, Hisao.
I don't mind at all, but do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all this?
You always were curious. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Hisao. Some people have to learn that the hard way.
She takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed than distant.
I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. But that's how life is.
Can't you move together? Or...
Ugh. You can't just set up your life and expect to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others.
She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky.
Damn, if I smoke I could take a nice long drag right about now and look kinda cool.
Please don't smoke. I mean, okay. In anime, yes. I don't mind it at all. In real life, I actually no. Like, smoking is such a turn off. I won't respond to helping her to help her in whatever I can, but I feel utterly useless. This kind of situation is one I've never been in, and I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment.
I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know.
Hardly. And I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle, the act feeling like a personal victory for me.
You're a good kid, Hisao. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or just being nice.
She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill-fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can to the bin after one last swig.
It's just unfortunate that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said that I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When her folks told me that when we were at their place they also gave Lilly summons to rejoin them in Inverness.
I knew it! No way. Her evasiveness when asked about the future, the awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, that uncharacteristic outburst of anger. All of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that she reminisced about after Hanako's birthday party, the same family that left her and Akira to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Yeah, I mean, dick move. Now I feel stupid for never considering Leon what was bugging her. I never even considered if something had happened during her trip to her family's home at Inverness. And now, a sense of unease grows in my chest. If her family had summoned her to join them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, it just means I need to buy a plane ticket. Has she accepted?
Lilly hasn't told me whether she plans to accept. And it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk, Hisao.
Context, huh? I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face.
Lilly's a strong person, Hisao, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being her older sister, but I think that you deserve to know.
I understand.
You okay? You sound depressed.
No, I'm just thinking. Thinking if I have enough money on my bank account to buy a plane ticket. No, I'm kidding, but I mean, that's more or less the first thing I would do in such a situation, I guess.
That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere.
She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist.
I've got to go. Will you be okay?
I'll be fine, don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lilly about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel at all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lilly's on the precipice of the biggest decision of her life and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of the burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira's already walking off with her hand held up. I actually like doing that. Not doing that. I actually like seeing something like this, you know. You walk off and just see ya. For the first time in a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that, but at least I now have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? Guess we'll find out soon. Or maybe not soon. But I think I know basically, I mean, I think you can tell from now basically what the ending be about. Depending if it's good or supposedly neutral, not that bad. I mean, I feel like the answer is rather clear over here. Anyway, hurry Lilly!
I'm moving as fast as I can.
I can barely make out Lilly's voice over the deafening pounding of the rain. Even though I dislike pulling around, the situation calls for it. I turn forward, my free hand over my head, in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This really is rotten weather for summer and the last kind of climate I'd want for a date. A pity. I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I've ever done so only for to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking to Lilly, her shoulders are by now completely drenched, with her right hand holding tightly to mine and her left gripping the retracted cane. This hurried downpour came on just as we're about to between our destination and Yamaku, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lilly is using all her concentration just to avoid tripping over.
Hisao, do you know where we're going?
Even she's reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and the rain. The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain.
The what?
The Shanghai! That's right! We're going to take the plane to Shanghai! I mean, we could try doing that.
How far is it?
Shouldn't be far now. It doesn't take long before I call out her once again. It looks like we're safe, just up ahead. I quickly pull up to a stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and wait for it to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell rings out when I hold the door open for her, a smile and polite nod being my reward before entering myself. As I step in behind her and wipe my feet, only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bells ringing, the most expected person comes to greet us.
Welcome to the Shanghai!
Yuko looks chipper today, trying to predict her moods pretty hard. But it's a nice change from the norm.
Hello, Yuka.
Hey!
Good afternoon, you two!
She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us.
Whoa, what happened to you? You both look...
Her eyes drift towards the glass of the door behind us.
Oh, dear!
We're inside now at least. I think that's the most important thing.
It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this.
I mean, you have the answer white like that. Probably.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Is there anything you'd like? French vanilla latte, please?
I'll have to say...
Right, coming right up.
Now that I think about it, he probably should cut down on coffee as well, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure caffeine doesn't exactly have the greatest influence on the heart, right? I mean, it's probably not as bad as like energy drinks and so on, but still. In his case, he probably should not drink coffee. I'm guessing, okay, I'm guessing. She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she's at least dedicated to her jobs. Okay. That's nice. The double click again for no reason. I lead Lilly to empty seat before the two of us settle down. As usual, there is a large difference between my exhausted flopping down to my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into hers, her cane stayed beside her. Now that I think about it, I could just try readjusting the keybinds. I could move the normal left click to the supposed double click and double click to normal click. And that way I could still operate normally. Oh, I didn't want to click. I need to do this. For a while I just idly watched the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Once again, the cool thing about Japanese shops, they actually have umbrellas in the stores. Like the general stores, right? Lily sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the vibe that we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lily, at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together since I entered Yamaku, and to the way we've been since we started dating. I click. Okay, no matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. It's as if the harder I try to second guess her emotions in a potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. It makes me doubt whether I'd ever really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even if I very much want to avoid doing so.
You seem quiet today, Hisao.
Really?
You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I assume you had something specific you wanted to do.
No, not really. Just wanted to spend some time with you.
Is that so?
Fine, there was one thing. A little grin finds its way onto Lily's face, her knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes what I want to say all the more awkward. It was just... Akira and I were talking.
Oh.
What's with that thought?
You two do seem to get well, don't you?
Well, I mean, I do think she's a pretty good person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were anything like her.
Cool.
For a moment I replaced her tone of voice. My mouth turned to a smirk as I realized it. You're not jealous, are you?
I'm not jealous.
After her teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel too bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. I just let it down fall. It's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it was mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned I want to talk to you about. When you went to see your family in Inverness a while back, she said...
Akira told you about my family's summons, hasn't she?
Seconds tick by while trying to read her face. An odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed but also somewhat confused. I mean, I would understand, kind of. I mean, she doesn't have the feelings that Akira has, I guess. Then again, I understand why would Akira be so negative towards her parents. Lily is not, but I mean, I feel like she should as well. But you know, I guess she's really good-natured and forgiving.
Here?
Yuko tentatively slides our drinks on the table, her presence oddly small. Domo. As she walks back to the counter after a quick, polite note, I realize the air between me and Lily is thick and our expressions are both somewhat pensive.
Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times.
Is this a goddamn mosquito over there? Like top right corner? What the heck is that thing? If it's a mosquito, it would be probably pretty damn huge as well. I don't think you should blame her here. She's just looking out for you, and it's not like I can understand her concern over this. Lee's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. She really doesn't deal with with being cornered on personal topics.
I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you'd have figured it out eventually, but...
I mean, I kinda had the hinge that she would have to go back or something. You were intentionally hiding this from me. For how long were you planning to do so?
As I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I want to be sure of my decision before telling you.
What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I want her to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut.
My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach us a car, whether it be here or there.
So you're going. How long have you known? I only know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago.
Oh. Some time.
Oh. Dude, it's time for a heart attack. The final one. My frustration very nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me more than it should. Don't be frustrated, man. Please don't say anything stupid. For her to not only be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me. And that seeming for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. It feels as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lily.
I'm sorry. I want to think this through completely. I was trying to take advantage of you, please.
I know, Lily. I know. This is just really sudden. I guess this means that once you go, we'll be breaking up? Question mark. For one of the few times I've seen I've seen since I met her. She's genuinely lost for words.
I mean...
There is always long distance for the beginning. And then you don't know. I don't know. Maybe. She doesn't look surprised. No doubt because the fact had downed her once she became sure of her decision. But rather, she appears genuinely unsure of how to deal with the situation now that this isn't in front of her.
We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship.
I just suggested that.
They're getting more and more common these days after all.
Even she says it, the tone her voice gives away that she doesn't really believe what she's saying.
Why not? Give it a shot.
Lilly is far too old-fashioned to be able to cope with relationships without any kind of physical presence, and even I'm to an extent. I think it would depend. It would really depend. If you really feel like, you know, your heart has sunk completely for that person, you'd do anything to keep at it. All we would ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. I mean, and also there is option, dude, you can move as well, right? In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempts to try and connect what's happening with the future or past just seem to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just walked side by side. The precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira. The casual chatter we had during lunchtimes. The times we made love. The confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless. All just a fleeting moment in our young lives. We're just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long, long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. Lilly's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it.
I'm sorry, Hisao.
A simple apology, and no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going?
I'll be leaving with Akira, so it will be a little less than a week.
The beginning of summer holidays.
Just a little afterward, yes.
Her tone is unusually slow and steady. Her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written to her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the, by now, lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I can't see my reflection in this tea. Something is wrong with it. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the by now lukewarm. Okay, I read this. What is wrong with me? I really need to get that mouse. Maybe I can clean it actually. We'll see. If I won't forget. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while I just stared down the still surface, trying to sort through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lilly, gently sipping her cooled tea without complaint, her face drawn and shoulders slumped. She looks to be deep in thought too, a strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lilly's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside and a few other patrons of the Shanghai having left. I mean... Okay, for our Hisao here, sure, it's kind of understandable, I would say, that he might not be able to pursue her immediately, right? Because it's still just in school. However, for example, I mean, I'm going here to the other person now. like Akira, right? She has a boyfriend, and they are already adults. They both have some job experience and so on. I'm a bit surprised that he's not willing to chase after Akira to Scotland, for example. Then again, I mean, I'm persistent, basically, when it comes to some people, and I would do that. The chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory hallways. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Sure enough, the opening of the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of a bespectacled Kenji. Hey man, what? Whoa dude, you look awful, I think. You okay? He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to get into it. It's late. Okay, let's go. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm, you know, here. I look at him for a moment before surrendering my stern front and awkwardly scratching the back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Kenji. Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right? Yeah, you're right. See ya. I open the door to my own dorm room and close behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solitude the door makes against the doorframe sounds of the final call for the life I've let since coming to Yamaku. I just stand in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onwards. Just what should I do? Study English like crazy? Go to Scotland? I hope he does this in the next episode. We'll find out tomorrow. For now, hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you there and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.